Welcome to UNCAGED, the show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. Today, we're speaking with Trevor Colhoun. Hey, Trevor, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. Trevor's the CEO and co-founder of the Trusted Provider Network, which is a professional networking platform specifically designed for licensed clinicians and vetted treatment providers to confidently navigate the business of behavioral health. Clearly behavioral health and all healthcare matters have been the center of the universe for the last several years and appear to be so for the next several years. And before we get into that, Trevor, which is obviously going to be the core of our conversation, tell us a little bit about yourself and your career today.
I started my career in finance in New York in capital markets. I was at Bear Stearns and Piper Jaffray, and 2006 I left and went into I guess what would be called the buy side into private equity, and enjoyed that side of the business, the using the thinking mind and creative side of the business. I got into special situations, and at some point during the career, I started getting into operations, and we're really forced into that through certain companies in our portfolio, and really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed working with people, really enjoyed working with teams, really, I think took on or let my leadership skills shine and creative side shine. And through that process, I think that the company I was involved with before Trusted Provider Network was StorCentric, which is a data storage business and security business on the enterprise side. And I was able to, through a merger, move away from that business as a day-to-day, and came upon an existing business, which was Trusted Provider Network, which was very small and had a fantastic idea of building really the digital railroad tracks of behavioral health for the B2B side of the business. You think Bloomberg, think LinkedIn, if you will. The two other founders at the time brought me along, and it was from there, it's just been a fantastic experience.
That's awesome. Well, obviously a big road from finance to what you guys are working on now, and it seems very entrepreneurial and team building. Tell me a little bit more about what this business actually does and how that platform works.
Yeah, so we really look at it as a layer cake. The first technology that we really built is really an infrastructure, social media for professionals in the business to connect, engage, endorse each other, refer, but really get an insight into see what's going on in marketplaces. Some people might think of this as a LinkedIn, but as we look at this space, we're trying to make a national network of just the professionals and the licensed people in behavioral health, so they can see what's going on in the market, and they can find other referrals that they need or services they need in terms of tracking their license or seeing if other people are licensed. We are not open, just to be clear, we are not open to the layperson or the customer or the practitioner. This is, what really is the opportunity for us is we're building a national Kaiser Permanente, if you will, or NYU Ken Langone, or a national behavioral hospital. Most folks don't realize that this just doesn't exist. It doesn't, the world of behavioral health is opaque and analog, okay? And we're bringing it to really the digital world where there's tracking, data, analytics, connectivity, and they can connect. I think of it going back from my financial world as this is the financial institution moving into the digital world. This is Bloomberg coming in. This is Thomson Reuters coming in, or Bridge coming in and digitizing the behavioral health world, the business of behavioral health.
Wow. I mean, that's excellent. I mean, I think one of the things that we're noticing right now generally is there's a ton of new technology pouring into the healthcare space, most notably probably in some of the hospital kind of back end machine learning area. But this area is really interesting. So you're building a platform really of kind of licensed, kind of top grade clinicians and really vetted treatment providers. Put the work in context of some of the trends that you're seeing in the marketplace right now.
Well, I think that the overall trends that you've seen in the marketplace is, and especially on the investor side, they've been very focused on connection, right? You're an individual that needs treatment, here's treatment, right? And so we stepped that back a layer back in terms of we're missing a huge piece in this market where there isn't a network to connect and engage with these folks that are behavioral health professionals. So essentially what we're looking and accomplishing is allowing a group of clinicians, national group of clinicians, to engage and connect and really see the marketplace. So we are a layer back behind the consumer products, if you will. And so our customers at the end of the day are organizations like insurance companies that want to be connected to their providers, treatment centers that want to be engaged with referrals to send to their treatment, hospitals that need to discharge patients and find those behavioral health folks. They live right now in small pockets, analog pockets, and trying to find them is very difficult, and trying to organize that information is very difficult. And so that's the trend that we're creating, which we're surprised that nobody else is really seeing. And I don't think the world really understands how far back behavioral health is than any other industry. And
tell me a little bit. I mean, tell me a little bit about just the general behavioral health space. Is that just the nature of how that sector has evolved, or are the types of people that work in it, or?
Yeah, I mean, if you could think about behavioral health this way, is unlike the medical side where there's high capital costs, there's insurance issues that you need. So there's reason that there's been these brick and mortar networks that have been created in the behavioral health space. They're just as educated to be clinical people. They go get their master's. They have to get their 2,000 hours of clinical training before they can even see patients on their own, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, they don't have capital costs, right? They need to rent an office space. They need a couch and a desk and stuff like that. So we are bringing tools to that place to allow them to maybe build a business, okay?
Right.
Connect with other people, see what else is in the marketplace. And the other, as I talked about, layer cake is on top of what we've built as this connective network, okay?
Yeah.
We've built really what we call Netflix, if you will. We put on a tremendous amount of continuing education virtually.
Oh, wow.
And we do that for our partners, our organization partners. So treatment centers, state governments, organizations, so they can actually bring continuing education in the marketplace. This is a big demand, especially through COVID. I know we'll talk about in a second, but you have to maintain your license. You have to have 20 hours of continuing education, generally, depending on which state you're in. And provide that. But our model, just so you understand, is we provide all of these services that I'm talking about for clinicians for free. Okay. So you can have an account, you can connect, engage with people, you can be seen, you can receive continuing education, you can track that. That's all free to the clinician. And that's a huge shift in the market where that's prior to us coming in, this is about a $3 billion, transactional business in the United States. And we're just saying, we're giving that away. So we can gain this market.
Right. And really shape it for almost kind of, I look at it, what you're outlining is essentially stitching together this network and then layering on all of these added value elements that will continue to support that ecosystem, which is just spectacular. And I would say, I read an article about Web 3.0 yesterday, and one of the things that I thought was good that this individual was talking about was that we read about all these crazy things with like Facebook, et cetera, doing Meta. But the reality is that that the exciting thing of Web 3.0 is almost like it's this stitching together of these universes so that we can operate at greater scale and we can make the data meaningful and identifiable and in a very positive way. And I really like what you guys are obviously, doing in the behavioral health space. But I mean, the last couple of years have obviously put probably a little bit of a shift on some of your business plans along the way. And I'd just be curious to hear how you guys have navigated the challenges of the pandemic and probably seized on some of the opportunities.
Yeah, I think seized is really the best part. And I think I have a fantastic team, young, hungry, smart, really understand, and more importantly, passionate about what we're doing. We spent 2019 building the network, and when 2020 came around, I think COVID, for the most part, was a digital light switch that went off in the behavioral health space, because it was almost forcing everybody to say, we got to relook at this, because we're now all in our homes, and how are we connecting? How are we engaging? So you had simple things like, telemental health, where you can connect with patients, and that's not really a piece of our business. Then we have things like, we really moved into virtual education, and that's been a big boon. And for us, it really fits well in our model, because one, we're a mission-based business where we're saying, hey, I want to create a company where we can improve behavioral health outcomes. And continuing education really fits in there, because we can bring high-level continuing education to the same people that get it in Los Angeles and get access to fantastic clinicians to someone in South Dakota, or in lower populated areas that might not get access to wonderful modality trainings or intervention trainings that they can bring to their clients. So it's really cool.
And the training, it sounds like it's for multiple audiences, but does it play a role in that kind of certification that you were referring to? Or
yeah, it plays a big role in the certification.
Okay.
So, I mean, for example, we're starting to work with states to not only train, whether it be social workers or licensed professional counselors and stuff like that, but we're working to track those folks. So the states can know where they are in their progression or path of continuing education. But for the first time, they get data on these people, which they didn't have, right?
Yeah.
They understand where they're providing services, what services they're providing, what insurance they have, in network, out of network, who else has endorsed them, who are the key players, things of understanding and seeing a marketplace that other industries have enjoyed for years. And I especially think the financial industry. But now these things were opaque and unknown to even the insurance company, payers, or the states. And now they know this data. And as we build, it will become more robust. The result of that, as we see, is now they'll understand, if I'm an insurance company, what outcomes are for which modalities and things that are happening. And that will improve the pay side and the reimbursement side of behavioral health. We all know a lot what happens in behavioral health right now is cash pay for the most part. And we can really bring in, the value base to that, understanding, if I have this issue of depression or alcoholism, who do I need to see? Which modalities are best to get me to recovery so I don't have recidivism and things of that nature. And those are things we look down 5 years down the road from where we are, but we're very excited about getting to those pieces.
It's interesting because I look at, I'm going to say the Generation Y, and I'm going to praise them because I'm the old geezer.
What year are they right now? What is Y?
Much younger than me, Trevor.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. And I generally kind of look at them they're in their kind of mid 20s, and they're joining companies. They're starting to kind of make their way, and they have such a wonderful perspective on the balance of life that is so alien to Gen Xers, where we were essentially told to kind of suck it up, right? And it's a fascinating thing, and I believe that it highlights probably just an incredible increase in the demand of the services from your clinicians. I mean, in the sense that the general market must be growing exponentially right now.
Yeah, it is. And there's a couple points to make on what you said. I'm glad you didn't do the whole, I'm a Gen Xer and I used to walk a mile in the snow before I got to school.
I did though.
we have a bunch of 20-year-olds that work for us. They lean in, they're facile,
Yeah.
they care about their community, they care about their self, their wellness. They're wonderful. And there is an awakeness and awareness that's going on that I think people, connect to stigma, right? Where stigma is falling, but we look at it differently. We don't think the issues of behavioral health are stigma. We think it's a systemic issue where if you walk in to a medical side and you have a medical issue, I broke my leg, the process of recovery. Okay. I need to go what doc I need to go see. I kind of know it's 6 months, maybe I go through recovery. I know what it's cost. I can maybe get a second opinion. That doesn't happen in behavioral health, right? That process of clinical recovery doesn't occur. And it doesn't occur because there is no network. There is no information on the professional side to say, hey, come to me. If I don't fit, I can quickly find you somebody else.
Right.
Have this huge network to see who's available, insurance match, and then I can diagnose you and fit you with the correct person. So we look at it on a baseline is you're walking in a market, you don't know what you really have. You're depressed, but you don't really know what's going on. You don't know. So then you don't know who to see. And then you don't know what it's going to cost because you don't know when you're going to get recovery.
Right.
And so we see it as an economic hopelessness going into behavioral health. And that's why still you have this awakening of behavioral health occurring, but you still have about 20% of the people that have behavioral health issues go seek help. And it's because of and that for us as a company is the huge area and advantage for us and unfair advantage that we're trying to create and bring that information and connection together.
No, absolutely. And I certainly think this is a necessity for the marketplace in general today. As I would say, most companies are thinking about these spaces for their employees. Yep. It's going to become more and more commonplace and expected that this is something that's delivered at scale and with a qualified and quality way of thinking about where this evolves and what actually the outcomes can be, what they get a better sense of kind of how it will evolve over time. I love that. So tell me, I mean, now we're moving into a world which is hopefully going to be a pandemic free, knock on wood somewhere. But what is your hope for 2022?
We're in a big growth mode for us. We're in New Orleans. Okay. I'm an ex-Yankee, I guess. I'm still a Yankee from New York, Connecticut. I lived down here for about 13, 14 years. And we focused in Louisiana to really put a fence around Louisiana. And we did well. I think we have about a 50% penetration rate. So if you're a licensed professional counselor, 50% of you are on our platform already.
Wow.
So we're now moving into other states, the big states like Texas, New York, California. And we're looking to really bring those groups on with our partners, whether they're insurance or treatment centers or associations or state governments, and work with them to really, bring this group on and this community on to bring more efficiency to their life. So we're in a big growth mode, and yes, the pandemic's ending, but what we've built and what we've created is necessary and in high demand. For the world.
Yeah, I feel like what you're building was certainly part of a trend before COVID, but if anything, the pandemic really accelerated the variables that are at play in the world that you're in. And perhaps those individuals that would have been like, I don't know, now I can't imagine they're saying that. I can only imagine they're saying, yes, we need this, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. It's a different reaction. Well, Trevor, it's been great talking to you today. If someone wanted to learn more about what you're working on at the Trusted Provider Network, where should they find you?
Yeah, so we actually call ourselves TPN.health. That's also our website. We use a .health handle. So go to TPN.health and you can see all about us. There is a a front page that tells us who we are, what we're about, our mission and stuff like that, obviously, to get into the network. And I also say this, if anybody wants to receive and learn about this behavioral health education on a very high, very deep level, anybody can obtain this. Okay. It's open to anybody, but to receive continuing education, you have to be licensed. To receive and to be allowed into the network, you have to be credentialed and licensed. We vet everybody who comes in. So it's a safe area.
I love it. I love it. Well, it's great to have you on UNCAGED. We've been speaking with Trevor Colhoun. He's the CEO and co-founder of the Trusted Provider Network, otherwise known as TPN.health. Check that out, TPN.health. They're a professional networking platform designed for licensed clinicians and vetted treatment providers to confidently navigate the business of behavioral health. And for all of us that have been living through the last couple of years and seen our loved ones and our friends that have struggled with behavioral health issues, or even looked at yourself and looked at the behavioral health issues that you're facing, what Trevor and the team are doing is really welcome and providing scale in an area that's critically needed. Trevor, it's been great talking to you today at UNCAGED, and we're excited to have you come back some point.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.